Every great creative work stands on the shoulders of giants. Welcome to RetroInspection, where we examine and find out where the things we love today came from.
So anyway, but Diego is also passionless compared to Zorro, man. Zorro's romancing Lolita left and right, where Diego's just kind of coming in and going, yeah, sure, you'd make a pretty good wife. You'd dress up the house. I got a few. Yeah, we should totally get married. That sounds great. Okay, thanks. We'll leave it to your dad. He'll set everything up. And she's just so wildly underwhelmed by Diego. It just beggars description, especially with the contrast of Zorro, coming into her life at the same time, and he's just showing up in the middle of the night and kissing on her, and then beats up a bunch of guys and vanishes back into the dark until the next time he pulls that stunt. But and of course, rescues her at some point from the soldiers and all that.
Well, Don Diego doesn't just act like this with her. With all of his interactions outside of even in his estate, he is always just the most embarrassingly effete character you could imagine.
Yeah, he's just this boneless guy knocking around, reading poetry, and he doesn't like to ride his horse because he gets dusty riding his horse,
and his back aches, and
right, exactly, he has various infirmities. He doesn't even like. So Diego has struck up something of a friendship with one of the soldiers in the Pueblo, Sergeant Gonzalez, who, if you ever watched the TV show, the Zorro TV show, Gonzalez is almost, he's the henchman, but he gets so much more screen time than the primary antagonist. I mean, he's the comic relief bad guy, and he is here somewhat too. He's a Falstaffian figure, if like Falstaff was just like stupid in addition to being drunk and crude and fat. So he's always beating his chest about, he's gonna kick the bejesus out of Zorro, and Zorro better watch out, man, because Gonzalez is coming and he's gonna carve off a piece of his ass. And it's like, and of course he gets beat like a mule constantly by Zorro and that sort of thing. He's not really funny in this. He is a legitimate threat because he's like a mean guy with a sword and law enforcement authority, and he also like flogs a friar.
Right.
Dominican friar. I mean, this is the thing, like the corruption in the Pueblo, the corruption of the governor and his military forces is so profound, they're throwing it in the face of the Catholic Church. And again, this is the middle of the 19th century. They're treating the Dominicans like trash.
So let me ask this question, because Gonzalez, when he talks to Don Diego, he often says to him, why don't we spar? Why don't we have our own little fight? Because you've been to Spain, everyone knows what a great swordsman you are. Well, everyone knows all this stuff about Don Diego, but no one ever says, hey, this Zorro guy, he's got these great swordsman skills.
Yeah.
Where did he learn them?
Well,
Spain?
Right. I mean, Diego's been cultivating this persona since he was a teenager. I mean, he talks about in the book, like, he arrives at his realization of the injustices being perpetrated when he's 15 years old, 10 years before the events of the book. So at that point, he starts doing his languid, the phrase that Jules Pfeiffer used to describe Bruce Wayne's early days was rich idler. And that's 100% Don Diego. He doesn't do anything. He sits around. Maybe he reads a little bit. Mostly he just kind of hangs out in his house, or he'll go over to the tavern or something. But he's been pulling this routine with forethought, knowing eventually he would become Zorro and do his Zorro.
But he does travel between his estates, right?
Yeah.
That's his thing. Oh, I'm going to travel to my estate, and I'll be back in a couple days. Don't worry about me.
Right.
I'll be okay,
Yeah,
but I'll be hurting.
his dad's house is, I can't even remember, but not that far. I mean, we're not usually talking about major distances in this book.
Well, it is horseback.
It is horseback, granted, yeah, but even so, I think his dad's house is something like 15 miles outside the Pueblo. His own house is inside town. So is Polito's. But actually, I think Polito's is a little further outside. I think it's like 4 miles from Diego's house in town, out to the Polito ranch. And he acts like that 4 miles is just killing him, just because of the heat and the dust and the the horse sweat.
And the clop, clop, clop going
Right.
up and down on the horse.
The monotony of the horse's trot.
Like, subscribe, repost, share everywhere. To see what else we're up to, visit xynobooks.com, xenobooks.com.